The slap echoed through marble. Elena Moss did not stumble, did not gasp. Her cheek bloomed red beneath the lobby's crystal chandeliers, but her spine remained straight, her Louis Vuitton briefcase steady in her left hand. The manager, Stephen Hartwick, nameplate gleaming, stood with his palms still raised, breathing hard, his face the color of overcooked meat. "You will not speak to me that way," he hissed. Elena touched her cheek. Once. Clinical. Then lowered her hand. Around them, the Grand Marquis Hotel lobby had gone silent. Guests frozen mid-stride. A bellhop's mouth open. The concierge gripping her desk like it might float away. No one moved. Elena looked at Stephen. At the fury in his eyes that thought it was righteous. At the security guard hovering 3 feet back, uncertain. "I see," she said quietly. Just that. Then she turned, heels clicking against Italian tile, and walked out into the Seattle rain. Behind her, Stephen straightened his tie and returned to the desk as if nothing had happened. As if the world hadn't just shifted on its axis. 8 hours earlier, the flight from Singapore had been 17 hours, including a layover in Tokyo. Elena had slept 4 of them. The light, strategic sleep of someone who'd learned to rest anywhere because there was always another city, another meeting, another negotiation that couldn't wait. She'd arrived at SeaTac at 4 p.m. Pacific, collected her bag herself despite the driver's offer, and texted her assistant while the car navigated toward downtown. Confirm 8 a.m. breakfast meeting with Chin Holdings. I'll review documents tonight. The response came immediately, confirmed. Your suite is ready at the Marquis. The Grand Marquis was a staple. 18 floors of old Seattle luxury, the kind of hotel that pretended it had housed Rockefellers even though it was built in 1987. Elena had stayed there a dozen times over the past 5 years. Reliable, convenient, close to the financial district. She hadn't expected trouble. The lobby gleamed under chandeliers that cost more than most homes. Black marble, gold accents. A concierge desk staffed by a blonde woman whose smile faltered when Elena approached. "Good evening." Checking in. "Moss, Elena." The woman typed. Paused. Typed again. "I don't see a reservation under that name." Elena set her briefcase down gently. "It was booked 3 weeks ago. Confirmation number 847. HG2. More typing. A furrow between perfectly threaded brows. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but that reservation was canceled." "By whom?" "It doesn't say, but we're fully booked tonight. There's a tech conference, and I didn't cancel it." "I understand, but then reinstate it." The concierge's smile thinned. "I'm afraid I can't just create a room. Perhaps another hotel. I've stayed here 12 times in the past 5 years. My assistant confirmed this reservation yesterday." "Ma'am, I don't know what to tell you. Tell me you'll fix your mistake." The voice came from behind. Sharp. Male. "Is there a problem?" Elena turned. Stephen Hartwick. Late 40s, graying temples. A suit that was expensive but poorly fitted. His nameplate read General Manager. "Mr. Hartwick," the concierge began. "This guest claims—" "I don't claim anything," Elena interrupted. "I have a reservation. Confirmation number 847. HG2. Presidential suite. 3 nights. Stephen's eyes swept over her. The assessment was brief. Dismissive. "We're fully booked." "Then honor my existing reservation." As my colleague explained, it was canceled. "Not by me." "Look." Stephen sighed like a man performing patience. "We get this sometimes. People book rooms, forget to save confirmations, then get upset when things don't go their way. I'm happy to call around, find you something nearby. I have my confirmation email. Anyone can fake an email." The lobby seemed to pause. A couple at the bar turned to watch. Elena pulled out her phone, opened her email, turned the screen toward him. Stephen barely glanced at it. "Could be photoshopped. We've had scammers. Try this before. Showing up, demanding free rooms." Elena's voice stayed level. "Dangerously so. I'm not demanding anything free. I'm asking for the room I paid for." "You say you paid. I have no record." "Then check your system again. I don't take orders from you." Something shifted. The pretense of professionalism cracked. "Mr. Hartwick, I've been traveling for 17 hours. I have meetings tomorrow morning. I need the room that was reserved and confirmed. And I need you to stop disrupting my lobby. I'm a paying guest. You're someone trying to get something you're not entitled to." His voice rose. "This is a 5-star establishment. We don't tolerate fraud." "Fraud?" Elena said it softly, tasting the word. Stephen stepped closer. You heard me. Now I suggest you leave before I call security. I'm not leaving until you'll leave when I say. Check. Your system. Don't you dare raise your voice to me. I'm not. The slap came fast. Open palm. Across her left cheek. Hard enough that her head turned. The sound cracked through the lobby like breaking glass. Elena steadied herself. Did not cry out. Did not raise a hand in return. Just looked at him. At the shock blooming on his own face as he realized what he'd done. Then at the security guard, who'd taken one step forward and frozen. You put your hands on me, Elena said. Quiet. Factual. You. Put your hands on me. Stephen's jaw worked. Get out. Now. Elena picked up her briefcase, turned, and walked. Outside, the rain had started. Seattle's slow, deliberate kind. She stood under the awning, breathing. Then she pulled out her phone and made a call. David, it's Elena. I need you to pull a file. David Chun answered on the second ring despite the time difference. Always did. Elena, pull the acquisition file for Pacific Crest Hospitality Group. A pause. That's the company we looked at last quarter. Owns 17 hotels in the Pacific Northwest. You passed on it. I remember. You said their management culture was toxic from the top. Elena finished. I need the valuation report and the list of properties. Elena, it's midnight here. What's the Grand Marquis in Seattle? Is it one of theirs? Typing sounds. Then, yes. Flagship property. Stephen Hartwick is GM. What? Elena touched her cheek. Still warm. Because I'm about to buy his entire company and fire him. Silence. What happened? He slapped me. In his lobby. In front of witnesses. David's breath hissed. Jesus. Elena, are you? I'm fine. But he's not going to be. Her voice stayed flat. Surgical. Get me Mark Lawson on the phone. Tell him I want Pacific Crest financials by 6 a.m. Pacific. Every property, every liability, every skeleton. You want to acquire them. I want to dismantle them. But first I need to own them. This will take weeks. Due diligence alone. Then we start tonight. Another pause. Longer. Okay, David said quietly. I'll make calls. Elena ended the call and stood in the rain, watching well-dressed guests enter the hotel that had just ejected her. None of them knew what was coming. Neither did Stephen Hartwick. By 11 p.m., Elena was in a suite at the Four Seasons, booked under her company name, Nightingale Holdings, with an efficiency that made the Grand Marquis look like a roadside motel. Her laptop glowed on the desk. Mark Lawson, her lead attorney, was already on video call, his own team assembling in a New York conference room. Pacific Crest is vulnerable, Mark said without preamble. Stocks down 18% this year. 2 properties underperforming. Debt load is manageable but climbing. Board's been trying to sell for 8 months with no takers. Why no takers? Management reputation. High turnover. Guest satisfaction scores taking. They're profitable, but barely. So they're desperate. Quietly, yes. Elena leaned forward. What's controlling interest worth? Mark consulted notes. Roughly $85 million for 51%. But Elena, even if you move fast, this takes time. Regulatory approval, shareholder votes. What if I don't buy the company? What if I buy their debt? Mark blinked. There. You want to buy their outstanding loans. Pacific Crest has credit lines with whom? More typing. 3 banks. Cascade Financial holds the biggest note. $42 million. Due for refinancing in 6 months. Get me Cascade's acquisitions officer. Tonight. Elena. Mark. Her voice was quiet. Heavy. A man put his hands on me because he thought I was powerless. Because he looked at me and saw someone he could dismiss, humiliate, assault. I need you to understand. I will not let that stand. Mark nodded slowly. I'll make the call. At 1:30 a.m., Elena spoke to Gerald Voss, Senior VP at Cascade Financial. Ms. Moss. His voice was smooth. Practiced. I'm told you're interested in acquiring certain debt instruments. Pacific Crest Hospitality's loan. $42 million outstanding. That's an unusual request. I'm an unusual buyer. May I ask why? Because I want leverage. You want the debt off your books before it goes bad. I'm offering full face value plus 3% premium. Cash. Closing in 72 hours. Silence. Then, you're offering $43 million cash for a loan that's current? Yes. Why? That's my business. More silence. Ms. Moss, I'll need to verify I'll wire proof of funds in the morning. You'll have your answer by noon. She ended the call. David texted, "You're really doing this?" Elena replied, "Yes. He hit you. You could sue. Press charges. Destroy him without spending $40 million. She stared at the message. Typed back, "This isn't about him. It's about everyone like him." By 6 a.m., Elena had slept 90 minutes. Her breakfast meeting with Chun Holdings went smoothly. A partnership negotiation for a Singapore logistics hub that would net her company $20 million over 3 years. She smiled, shook hands, signed preliminary agreements, then returned to her suite and opened her laptop. Mark had sent the updated financials. Pacific Crest was worse off than she'd thought. Guest reviews complained of rude staff, outdated rooms, management that didn't respond to complaints. 3 lawsuits pending, all employment discrimination. Stephen Hartwick's name appeared in 2 of them. Elena made notes. At 10 a.m., Cascade Financial confirmed the sale. The debt was hers. At 11 a.m., she called Pacific Crest's CFO directly. "Ms. Moss." Richard Paulson sounded confused. "I don't believe I now hold your primary debt with Cascade Financial. $42 million. I'm calling it due." "What?" "That loan isn't due for." Read the acceleration clause. Any change in debt ownership allows the new holder to demand immediate repayment. You have 72 hours. We don't have $42 million in cash. Then I suggest you find it. Or we discuss alternatives. What alternatives? I acquire 60% of Pacific Crest Holdings at a discounted valuation. You avoid bankruptcy. I avoid foreclosure. Silence. You're trying to force a buyout. I'm offering a solution. I need to talk to the board. You have 72 hours. She hung up. By noon, Pacific Crest stock had dropped 12% on rumors of financial instability. By 3 p.m., the board had called an emergency session. By 6 p.m., Elena's phone rang. Richard Paulson. Voice strained. "The board will accept your offer. 60% for $62 million. But we have conditions." "Name them." "Existing management stays in place for 6 months. Transition period." "No. Ms. Moss, I take control immediately. Management serves at my discretion. Non-negotiable." "The board won't. The board will accept, or I foreclose and you lose everything. You have 12 hours. She ended the call. Walked to the window. Seattle glittered below, rain softening the lights. Somewhere in that grid, Stephen Hartwick was finishing his shift, unaware his world was ending. Elena allowed herself a thin smile. Tomorrow, he'd understand. The call came at 9:47 a.m. Stephen Hartwick was in his office, reviewing housekeeping schedules, when his desk phone rang. "Stephen, it's Richard. We need to talk." Richard Paulson, CFO. Never called directly. "What's up?" "There's been a development. The company's been acquired. Controlling interests sold last night." Stephen set down his pen. "Acquired? By who?" "Nightingale Holdings. A private equity firm." "Okay. So what does that mean for?" "It means you're fired. Effective immediately." The words didn't land at first. "What?" "New ownership requested a list of all pending HR complaints and lawsuits. Your name appeared in multiple files. They've terminated your employment for cause. Security will escort you out in 10 minutes. "You can't. I've been here 8 years. It's done, Stephen." "I'm sorry." The line went dead. Stephen sat in stunned silence. Then his door opened. 2 security guards. Not his usual team. New faces. "Mr. Hartwick, please gather your personal belongings. There's been a mistake, sir." Now. They walked him through the lobby he'd ruled for nearly a decade. Past the concierge desk, where Emma watched with wide eyes. Past guests who stared. Out into the ring. No severance. No farewell. Just a cardboard box of desk photos and a reputation in ashes. By noon, the news was internal. By 3 p.m., it was public. Pacific Crest Hospitality acquired by Nightingale Holdings in surprise deal. Entire executive team replaced. The article listed the purchase price, $62 million for 60% ownership. But the real story was in the second paragraph. New ownership has announced immediate leadership changes, citing cultural misalignment and ongoing HR violations. At least 7 managers across the Pacific Crest portfolio have been terminated, including Stephen Hartwick, GM of the flagship Grand Marquis Seattle. The article included a statement from Nightingale's CEO, Elena Moss. Stephen read her name 3 times. Then he searched it. The results made his hands shake. Elena Moss, founder and CEO, Nightingale Holdings. Estimated net worth, $1.4 billion. Specializes in distressed hospitality acquisitions and operational turnarounds across Asia-Pacific and North America. There was a photo, her, standing in a Singapore boardroom, unsmiling. The woman he'd slapped. The woman he'd called a scammer. She'd bought his entire company in 18 hours. Stephen's phone rang. His wife. "Stephen, what's happening?" "Karen just sent me an article. I'll call you back." He hung up, stared at Elena's face on his laptop screen, and understood, with perfect clarity, that his career was over. Elena didn't return to the Grand Marquis for 3 weeks. She spent that time in conference rooms and property tours, meeting with the staff Stephen had brutalized, reviewing complaint files that had been ignored, implementing new training protocols. 12 managers were fired. 43 employees were promoted. Guest satisfaction scores began climbing within days. The stock recovered. When she finally walked back into the Grand Marquis lobby, it was 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. The chandeliers gleamed as they always had, but the energy was different. Lighter. Emma, the concierge, looked up, recognized her, went pale. "Ms. Moss. I didn't know. That night, I should have." Elena raised a hand gently. "You were doing your job. The system failed. Not you. I'm so sorry." "I know." Elena's voice softened. "How long have you worked here?" "For years." "Do you like it?" Emma hesitated. "More now than before." "Good. I'm making you lead concierge. 20% raise. Report directly to the new GM." Emma's eyes filled. Thank you." Elena nodded and continued to the elevator. Her suite, the presidential, the one Stephen had denied, was ready. She set her briefcase down, kicked off her heels, and stood at the window overlooking Elliott Bay. Her phone buzzed. A message from David. "Pacific Crest closed up 8% today. Board wants to talk expansion." She typed back, "Schedule it." Another message. "Mark Lawson, Stephen Hartwick filed for unemployment. Claim denied. Termination for cause. He's lawyering up, but has no case." Elena didn't reply to that one. She didn't need to. 2 days later, Elena sat in a cafe 3 blocks from the hotel. She hadn't planned to be there. Had been walking, thinking, letting the Seattle rain clear her head. And then she saw him, Stephen Hartwick, sitting alone at a corner table. No suit today. Just jeans and a wrinkled button-down. A laptop open. Job sites, probably. He looked up. Their eyes met. He went rigid. Elena could have left. Should have, maybe. But she walked over. "Mr. Hartwick." He stood awkwardly. "Ms. Moss. I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything. I need you to know what I did was," his voice cracked. "I'm not that person. I was stressed. The conference had us slammed. And you just what? Decided I didn't matter?" He flinched. "You looked at me," Elena continued quietly, "and saw someone you could dismiss. Someone powerless. And when I didn't accept that, you put your hands on me. I know. Do you know how many people you did that to? Maybe not physically, but in every other way. The staff who reported harassment and were ignored. The guests who complained and were labeled difficult." Stephen's face crumpled. "I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't undo it. I lost everything." "No." Elena's voice was steel wrapped in silk. "You lost a job. The people you hurt lost dignity, safety, trust." He sank back into his chair. Elena stood over him. This man who'd thought he had power. "I didn't buy your company for revenge," she said. "I bought it because it was broken, and I fix broken things. You were just in the way." She turned to leave. "Ms. Moss." She paused. "Will I ever work again?" Elena looked back. "That's not up to me. But if you do, be better." And she walked out into the rain. 3 months later, Pacific Crest's revenue was up 18%. Employee retention had climbed. Reviews glowed. 2 properties were undergoing renovations funded by Elena's capital infusion. The board had offered her chairmanship. She'd accepted. And on a quiet Sunday morning, Elena stood in the Grand Marquis lobby, her lobby now, watching guests check in with smiles, watching staff move with confidence, watching the hotel become what it should have been all along. Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother. Saw the Forbes article. Hospitality mogul Elena Moss turns around struggling hotel chain. "Your father would be so proud." Elena smiled. Type back, miss you both. Talk tonight? Always. She slipped the phone into her pocket and headed for the elevator. Tomorrow there'd be meetings. Expansion talks. Another property in Vancouver that needed saving. But today, she had other plans. A walk along the waterfront. Tea at that little place near Pike Place. Maybe a book. Simple things. The things people thought didn't matter when they were busy wielding power they hadn't earned. Elena had earned hers. Not through cruelty. Through vision. Through knowing her worth and refusing to accept less. And as she stepped into the elevator, she felt the weight of the past months lift. Not gone. Never gone. But lighter. Because she'd taken something meant to break her and turned it into proof that she couldn't be broken. The doors closed. And Elena Moss rose, unbothered, toward whatever came next.